It is about 10 till 7, and I just pulled up to Park Hill High School, which is where our campus meets on Sundays. And I'm about to walk in and start setting things up. It's about 45 degrees outside today, which is really great because sometimes it's way colder than that. For the last several weeks, it's been a lot colder. Sometimes it's below freezing. Sometimes we've got like a foot of snow on the ground, which makes things really challenging. But today it's not too bad. To give you a frame of reference, I'm about the second shift of people to show up on a Sunday morning. The first shift is typically our trailer drivers. So those are the guys that actually haul. We have a couple of trailers full of everything that we use to set up the church inside of the school, and they get here about 5:45 in the morning. And I usually get here a little before 7 to help the setup crew actually unload the trailers and get everything put up to turn the school into a church. So I'm going to bring you along with me so that you can see what that's like. So I'm coming in through the side doors here. Oop, door locked. And I'll show you a little bit what it looks like before we set up. Looks like people have already got a head start on things. But you can see that the hallway's really empty, and we're starting to get some things unloaded up there. So basically everything that we bring into the church gets put in these big bins that open up like this. And inside of them, there are all kinds of supplies. And this is a diagram that goes on these bins that you can see here. They're all numbered, and this diagram shows the order in which they're supposed to go into our trailer. So if you can imagine this as a trailer, number 7 goes right here, which really matters because of weight distribution. It also tells you what goes inside of all of these things and where its location is. This is a little bit what our lobby looks like before we do setup. You can see we're getting tables out, and that's Merle. He's one of our coaches. We have lots of things in bags like this. You can see it's definitely a high school there. And down the hallway, that leads into our kids area and our auditorium, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. But I wanted to show you a little bit what it looks like before we get everything all set up. So since we meet in a school and it can sometimes be confusing to know where to go, we put these giant signs up all over the church with arrows and very clear signage so people know what direction to go to get where they're wanting to go. Another really big part of who Restore is hospitality. So every morning for our early morning volunteers, we get them bagels and coffee because we know it's an early ask for them to get here. And you can see we're still kind of mid setup, but things are coming along. So I wanted to give you just a peek of what our trailers look like. We've got 2 of these big guys that go, one is on this side of the church, one is way on the other side of the church, but each one of these holds those big bins. They all have wheels on them, and when it's time to load back up after church, this door will come down and we will very carefully organize and roll those big bins full of our stuff back onto the trailers, and then they will get driven back to a place where we store them during the week. It is almost 7:30, which means here in a couple minutes I'm going to be going into the auditorium, and we'll be doing something called Q to Q, which basically means anyone who's involved in making the service happen on a Sunday morning gathers there in a small group. We talk through each part of the service, from the things that are happening on stage to what the ushers and greeters need to do, to any special elements or announcements that are going on, just to make sure that everybody is connected and knows what they need to be doing. And then we also take time to pray over the morning, and we also take communion together as a group because most of us in that group are serving during the service, so we don't always get to take communion during the service. So I'll try to take this in there and show a little snippet of it, but I'm not going to film the whole thing. But that's what happens at 7:30, and then we go back to setup. So this is what our auditorium looks like before it's full of people. And there's our stage up there. Band is doing their checks, and pretty soon we'll meet right there at the front for Q to Q. Things I'll show you here in a little bit is that every single Sunday we have hot tea, coffee, water, but then these tables are full of home-baked goodies from people in our church because hospitality is a big part of Restore. The very first time that we came here, I thought that there was some kind of special event or party happening because these tables were full of food, but it's actually just a way that we welcome our people to church every Sunday and let them know that we care about them. Show you guys really quick a little bit about our kids ministry. So the demographic of Park Hill, which is our campus, is a lot of young families. So we have a really big kids ministry, and it's awesome. We love the kids at Park Hill, but it can also present some unique challenges. So because we meet in a high school, you can imagine that our spaces are not always very kid friendly. So in order to convert, sorry, I'm out of breath. I just ran up the stairs. So in order to convert the classrooms into a place where our kids are safe and also where we're respecting the school stuff, I'll show you a little bit about what we do. So this is what a typical classroom looks like. You can see back here, there's all the desks. So this is like a maybe social studies classroom or something, but what we do is we bring in these panels. They're plastic and they clip together, so they're very, very light. They're very, very easy to use, but they're bright colors, so it helps convert this space into a place that looks really kid-friendly, but also make sure that we separate what the kids are doing from the school stuff. And we got some rugs and again, really clear signs so that people know where their kids to go. And let's see here, I'll show you another room in here. Just another little example of what it looks like. And we have volunteers who, when they come in early in the mornings and they set these rooms up, they take pictures of what the room looks like before they set up the kids stuff, so that the second crew, after church is over, who comes in and tears all this stuff down, has those pictures and knows exactly how to set up the high school classroom again, exactly the way that they found it. And our goal is to always leave a room in better condition than we found it. We want to make sure that it's clean. We want to make sure that we're respecting the school stuff, because we do have a great partnership with them. And meeting in a school is one of the ways that we actually have a unique opportunity to serve our community and just make really good connections. So that is a little bit about what our kids' rooms are like. I want to tell you a little bit about Restore's volunteer culture, which is something that's really unique about this church. That's really different than a lot of other organizations or churches that I've seen. For the size that Restore is, for the amount of people that attend, we really don't have very many paid staff people, which means in order to pull off a Sunday morning service, we need a lot of volunteers. But the way that Restore views their volunteers is not just as bodies or people who are filling slots, because to be honest, there are a lot of tasks, a lot of things that need to happen in order to pull off a Sunday morning. But instead of viewing it as just people that we need to fill in slots, we see it as opportunities or environments where we get to disciple people. So our volunteer leaders are amazing. In so many different areas of ministry, people are super committed, not just to doing a job well done, but to bringing people along with them and discipling them and bringing them closer to Jesus and being really intentional in relationship with them. One of the ways that happens is in a space that we call Huddle. So in areas of ministry all over the church, whether that is creative arts or our kids ministry or guest services, about 45 or 30 minutes before a service starts, there's a group of volunteers from that area, a small group, usually it's between, I would say 6 and 25 people depending on the ministry area, get together, and in huddle time, they just spend time praying for each other. They talk through the morning, what to expect, and just spend time in intentional relationship checking in. And so the volunteers here are awesome. I can't speak highly enough about them. And it's not just task focused. It's very much people who are wanting to help others find their way back to God and grow closer and deeper in their own walk of faith and discipleship. So I'm about right now to head into my first huddle of the day, and I will see you guys after. So you guys recognize this lady. Yay! She's here this weekend, and so are the other ones. But I want to show you what it would look like to do a walkthrough. Basically, we call it street to seat, the guest experience, which is something that I help execute and make sure goes well. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what that's like on a normal Sunday. So out here, we have signs that show first and second time guest parking. So if you're new, we give you parking there at the front, and we also have parking for new moms, moms with kids, people who have special needs or handicaps. They all park out here in front close as possible, and then we whip around, and here is the high school. So we've got our signs up, and I'll just walk you through.
between services right now, and we encourage everybody to attend a service and serve a service. And that is true for everybody, and we really mean that. We want everyone in the church to be connected to serving, because like I said, the volunteer culture is really special, and we see that as a really important part of the discipleship process, is serving alongside other believers, and seeing that as a growth opportunity in our own walk with Jesus. So one of the special ways that I get to serve is with something called follow-up. So if you're new at our church, what would happen is when you go into the service, you would have the opportunity to fill out something that we call a communication card, where you put some information about yourself, but then you also can say things you might want more information on, or what you think your next step is, or how you heard about Restore, and then prayer requests or comments that you may have. And so after every service, I get to collect these cards. How many new people we have Sunday to Sunday varies. We always have new people every single Sunday. Sometimes, it's 3 or 4. Sometimes, like last week, it was between 20 and 25. Lots of people. So when I get these cards after a service, I enter in all of this data to a database that we have. And then I help get them connected to the right people to answer any questions that they may have. And if they're new, then before the end of the week, we make sure that someone emails them and somebody calls them, just to make sure that they feel welcomed and seen and know that we care about them and get them connected to the right person. So that's kind of a unique way that I get to serve. I'll be honest, at first, I wasn't super excited about it because it feels just kind of like data entry, but I realized it's kind of a cool way that gets to be an open door for people. So even if I'm the one typing behind the computer, entering their information in, if I'm connecting them to the right person, then that person helps bring them into a place where they can get connected and ultimately say yes to Jesus, and find their way back to God, which is really exciting. So that's something that I do typically in between services, and then I serve first service, and even though I'm a resident, even our staff people, we all attend a service as well. So I'll be attending second service, and that's all. Service is over here pretty soon. We're gonna start tearing down. Smile and wave. So people are kind of filtering out after the last service, and here in about 10 minutes we will start tear down. So the tablecloths are going to go in there for the extra stuff like the drying pad and the red can go back.
This is how you move a church.
This is how you do it.
Flex, Tristan. Yay! This is the system of how they go in the trailer. Very cool.
Both her and Tristan are a big blessing.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.